Building on the new story in your mind is what creates results. I'll explain exactly why this is an easy habit to build up day by day. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Hello to any new viewers. I'm Alexa, a manifestation coach and content creator. So of course, from the title, you know, we're talking about applying your mental diet. I know this is something that's been requested. People do struggle with the negative thoughts, the negative circumstances. I totally get it. And today's video is definitely going to help with that, lessen the effects, help you understand how to deal with it, and kind of grow into being unfazed by it. So I'm not promising an overnight miracle, because usually with manifesting in your mindset, it does take time and consistency, but I'm going to explain all of that in today's video. On screen will be all the extra stuff, so do pause or take a look in the description box. But without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. You want to start by really being able to target the root issue, the root fear that keeps coming up. So it takes self-awareness. Just be aware throughout the day and say, okay, I'm probably going to get an opposing negative thought, an opposing thought, a bad reaction to maybe circumstance, or be reminded of what's been annoying me and plaguing my mind recently. It's likely to come up again in some form. You know, negative thoughts don't just suddenly fade away. There needs to be a mindset shift, a circumstantial shift. Something needs to impact the way your thoughts change. They don't just suddenly change on their own. So start by getting really specific by targeting those fears. As I said, in the moment, being really self-aware and saying, okay, this just triggered me. Oh, I think that was an opposing thought. That was a negative thought. You know, frame it with this framework and, phrasing to do with manifestation in this context of being able to say, okay, that wasn't just me getting annoyed or having a bad day. That was me reacting to something to do with my manifestation. So you target the exact root issue and say, okay, I'm seeing a pattern with this, with that, with specific types of thoughts, maybe specific triggers keep coming up. And when you can recognize what it is, it will get easier and it'll get easier to recognize those negative thoughts, what's going on, what might be triggering you. Just being able to apply that self-awareness and get to that root issue of knowing this is the thought I just had and this is what it's connected to. Because sometimes though, obviously the wording can change. The thought that you might have will differentiate from time to time, but the root issue and topic that it's connected to is always going to be the same. What you're doing with that is building into not immediately jumping to worst case scenario, not immediately thinking negatively. You're working with the aim and just naturally building up through this mental diet practice that we're going to talk more about today by not immediately thinking a negative thought, a negative reaction. You'll be able to catch it quicker. The goal is to obviously recognize, catch, and flip the negative thought. And getting into this habit of repeating your affirmations, or just one affirmation. Maybe it's to do with a specific topic, SP, or communication, seeing other people with your manifestation, comparison, insecurity, whatever it is that might be the exact area or trigger that is impacting your thoughts that kind of tie into your mental diet reactions. You may have just one affirmation or just something for the topic in general, like saying SP and I have a perfect relationship, whatever it is relevant. But you want to get into the habit of saying your affirmations. That's what you're building up here. So it can be different statements. And I have said examples of how to do this in other videos about mental diet and using your affirmations. But ultimately, with repetition, whether you stick to one affirmation or you just push that negative thought into the positive opposite, you're getting into this habit, and your aim should be to build up a habit of every time you recognize these reactions, and you may not catch all of them, and that's okay, that you then flip it around with said affirmation. Being self-aware is going to help you stay consistent. You can write down like visual notes and reminders, post-it notes, or put it in your schedule or something on your phone, whatever it is, where I can be consistent. Consistency is what is going to bring in your results. So being able to say, I'm catching and flipping as many thoughts as I can every day. I'm trying to be on top of my mental diet. I'm applying my mental diet. Like, you will recognize it. It will get easier day by day. You will know that you're doing it, and you will just start to build up this habit. So like I said, building up consistency. It doesn't start as this perfect consistency straight away. You might forget, or it might be very up and down the first couple of days, and that's fine, but you want to build into this. In those moments, again, you can shift around, change up your affirmation, but you want to shift your focus back onto the end result, thinking as if your manifestation is already here, just thinking as if this is your life, this is your reality. That's what you're doing. You're moving your attention from a subjective opinion and reaction to something in your 3D, or just a negative thought that came up, a worry or concern, back to saying, no, this is what my reality looks like, and this is what it is right now. This is what I'm experiencing. That negative thought is not real. It was just a thought. This is what my reality is like. And remind your mind and your conscious mind of what that is. Well, me and SP have this amazing relationship. I have that dream job. I got the offer. It's all working out perfectly. You remind yourself what your reality actually is. It is subjective. I might be the only manifestation coach to offer a free product with every written coaching package. All my clients get a customized infographic like this. And if you bundle a coaching package with the SP Masterclass, you actually get 50% off. So if you're ready to take your manifestation to the next level and work with me, then you don't want to miss out on this offer. When your mind is primed and prepared to flip those negative thoughts through the repetition, through the consistency, and building this up and saying, well, I understand what a mental diet is, I know how I'm supposed to use it, and this is me applying it. This is me being self-aware and putting it actually into practice throughout my day, then your mind is not engaging with the negative old story, the negative thoughts. You are already ready and your mind is primed and knows, okay, I just had a negative reaction. And again, not 100% of the time, that's fine. Some will be fleeting thoughts, more natural reactions, maybe during busier times where your thoughts are racing a little bit and you don't really have the conscious ability in that moment to say, oh, I need to apply a mental diet. But generally speaking, your mind will be at that point of being prepared and ready. This is the time to flip thoughts. And I am speaking from experience at times, not always, but where I've been totally 100% on top of my mental diet, I recognize a difference. I recognize those conscious habits being built up in the way I think. I obviously experience, and I remember those times where I would immediately catch my thought and stop it in its tracks and flip it into the opposite and have a little mental diet in a conversation with myself, apply a bit of repetition. So your mind is already at that point of knowing and being prepared to flip the thought. So you are engaging with the negative old story less and less. Instead of jumping to worst case scenario and thinking from a pessimistic, very realistic way of thinking, and I don't mean realistic in the sense that that's what's likely to happen, but just based in 3D reality, realism of just being really basic in your thoughts and thinking, well, this is what would happen in an average way where I'm not getting what I want and, life just kind of happens to me, in that way of thinking, which is quite normal for us humans. That's what your mind is actually being trained to get out of, that way of thinking, to stop catastrophizing and thinking, SP didn't reply, therefore there's a third party and they'll never want to be with me, or oh, I haven't heard updates about my manifestation, therefore it's never going to happen. Jumping to worst case scenario, which the conscious mind can sometimes do, and we can be our own worst enemies. I know you guys can relate to that. Your mind is being trained out of thinking that way, out of automatically reacting in that way. And there's actually a really interesting biological element and the way your brain is working as well that I want to touch on in this section. It's basically stopping your mind from overthinking and doubting. So the hot and cold, the up and down that's going on internally, and then if another person is part of your manifestation, it's not going to keep getting reflected externally. All of that is being balanced out. So whatever would be a mirror reflection in other people, in your specific person, for example, is being minimized, is being improved, it's becoming more positive, it's having a glow up. The whole experience and everyone involved is having a little mental inner glow up, because you're not going to jump to worst case scenario. Your brain isn't going to think as negatively as much. You're literally training your mind to think in a new way. So the way it's also sped up is because you're going to minimize those delays. Like I said, whatever's going to get reflected in your reality is going to improve, including the movement, the progress of your manifestation. You're going to overcome those delays that may have been inadvertently caused by thinking negatively, having bad reactions. You're preventing those delays by not wavering and, letting and showing your mind how to think from the positive news story as if that is already your reality. But the really cool, interesting fact that I do mention every now and then in my videos is about the biochemical reaction that is formed with every thought that you have. So think about it. The more positive they are, the better that biochemical reaction will be, because it's then sending electrochemical signals all across your body, which isn't the emotions themselves. It is just an electrochemical reaction. Sorry, signal, not reaction, but it's tied to your emotions. It's signaling to your body what emotions to have. It's signaling to your nervous system what to think, what to feel. So if you have a positive thought and you think more from the new version because you've built up your mindset in this way, imagine how your nervous system will react. Imagine how your emotions will react. You're not likely to waver and spiral and feel really despondent and doubtful about your manifestation. So overall, it just stops you from wondering where exactly your manifestation is. You don't have those kind of questions anymore. You trust in it more, you feel more confident, way more optimistic, and that is a positive thought in itself. So now I'm going to move on to the final section of this video where I'm really going to show you guys and tell you guys how this is implemented and how to really boost this in your daily routine. It takes about 21 days for a natural habit to be formed, meaning automatically, kind of like an automated reaction, just something that is second nature to you. And, the way you have a morning routine, it might change day to day. And, it's not always going to be 100% the same, but I wouldn't even have to tell you and you wouldn't have to tell yourself. Well, it includes brushing your teeth. You guys know when's the best time to brush your teeth before leaving the house. It just is a natural action. It's something learned from childhood. So it's the same with this mindset. It's eventually going to reach a point where it's natural. Your mental diet is normal to you. And again, it might not be perfect and you may not consciously always focus on it, but it does become a habit. It does become something that is prevalent in your mind, like you recognize, I had a negative reaction, or, oh, I should have caught that spiraling moment earlier and I didn't flip it with my mental diet. You start to recognize these kind of things and realize the quality of your thoughts, whether they're positive or negative, and that gets built up over 21 days. So be patient with yourself, because over time it's going to get stronger and stronger if you can remain consistent. You're also essentially living in the end result, because mentally, in your life, in your mind, the way you go about your day and you experience that no one else knows your thoughts, you are living from the end result of already being there, because mentally you're thinking, imagining, and staying positive and preventing all the negative thoughts and negative reactions. You're keeping them at bay because you are living from that end result mentally more than anything else. It essentially, if you apply this correctly, does become your dominant focus. Consistency is key, as I've said quite a lot in this video. I really want you guys to remember and not panic, because you do have to be consistent. So maintain these mindset practices every day, specifically this mental diet approach. And it is a daily practice that does need to be built up over time. And that is today's video. So I'd love to hear in the comments as well what you guys think. What's your favorite mental diet trick? What helps you stay on top of everything? And thank you guys so much. If you got to the end of this video and you answer my question, I'll know and I'll be very appreciative. And yeah, do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.